what is your general... Chop, let me just kick it off with this.
Okay.
And I want to get some thoughts from the listeners on the Frankel and Frankel Injury Attorneys text line. 877-881-1053. 877-881-1053. Chop, what is your general thought on where the Cowboys offensive line is at? What's your level of concern in relation to the rest of the roster building? How do you look at where the Cowboys are at in the trenches right now?
Well, 40% of the O-line is still an all-pro. Right? And
Yeah.
Tyler and Zach.
Mm-hmm.
I think whatever rookie center you put out there is going to be fine playing between two all-pros.
Yeah, if you're playing him at guard, right?
Right.
Because then if you're going to play Tyler at guard, what are you doing at left tackle?
Fair. We don't know.
Potentially draft pick.
Potentially draft pick. I think we have overhyped this story, not because it's not a big, important story, but because we're now just like everybody else at the offensive line position. We had an advantage for a decade by having this super offensive line. And now we don't have three all-pros on it, and we're just like everybody else. The Cowboys still have a better offensive line. Even with three unknowns, what other line in the NFL still has two all-pros on it? I would say none. Maybe one. And that means that we're still a really, really, really in a good position with the offensive line. There are some holes on it. There's no doubt about it. A lot of question marks. But it's still, compared to the rest of the league, incredibly stable.
So you've got the right side of your line generally figured out right now because you've got Zach Martin at right guard. You've got friend of the show, Terrence Steele at right tackle. Maybe a little question about, okay, was Steele just coming back from injury, which is what Mike McCarthy kept telling us every week when we'd interview him and say, hey, how's Terrence coming along? You know, when there would be some struggles, how are you feeling about this? And Mike would say, look, it's a big injury he was coming back from. He had a serious knee injury, and, you know, it's just the process coming back a little bit. So Terrence Steele, you hope, is just had a bit of a down year coming off of an injury, will be back to his normal self next year. So that's the right side of the line. You've lost Tyler Biadasz at center. You've lost Tyron Smith at left tackle. You need to figure out what you're doing with Tyler Smith if he's playing guard or tackle. So a lot of people have been figuring, keep Tyler Smith at guard, go draft a tackle, or draft a center. Maybe you double dip. You pick two offensive linemen in the first 3 rounds. Maybe you just address center and you move Tyler to left tackle and you plug in, you know, a veteran guard or TJ Bass, who you had as an undrafted free agent last year, at left guard. I think there's a scenario where the Cowboys say, we can operate with, move Tyler Smith to left tackle. We can operate with Tyler Smith at left tackle, Terrence Steele at right tackle. Our guards are Zach Martin and TJ Bass, who was the undrafted rookie last year from Oregon. And then our center is Brock Hoffman, who was an undrafted free agent a couple of years ago, who's been on the practice squad and kind of hanging around the roster. Was on the active roster last year.
All right, so hang on. Let's go right to left again.
So right to left, it's Steele, Zach Martin. Then center would be Brock Hoffman. Your left guard in this instance would be TJ Bass. And then your left tackle would be Tyler Smith. And this is a very deep draft for offensive tackles. And so you may be saying, hey, you're comfortable approaching it this way, going with two recent undrafted free agents at left guard and center, but who have been in the building. Brock Hoffman played in a couple games last year for you. I think if Zach Martin would have held out, he would have been involved. So you've got some experience there. TJ Bass had to step in and show some experience. But I want to address specifically the idea of Bass and Hoffman and how the team views them right now.
Okay, now listen. Is moving Tyler? I still don't know about moving Tyler.
I don't know that they may not.
I still think it's a bad mistake. I think it's a mistake.
It's a thing to explore. Well, if you don't move him from left guard, who do you play at tackle? Do you absolutely have to draft one in the first round? Or do you play Awesome Richards, who was your 5th round pick last year, who seemed to struggle to get playing time?
I mean, you draft one.
And you're gonna have to, so you'll
play
run
left tackle at a rookie.
You'll run a rookie out there, and you just have to hope the board falls the right way. Because I mean, a lot of the tackles who are currently projected to fall there right now, or who could be there, Amarius Mims at Georgia, Tyler Guyton at Oklahoma. You're talking about two guys who are right tackles.
Well, what about the kid from Notre Dame? Graham? Something or other? Is he Notre Dame?
The Notre Dame tackle is Joe Alt, and he's going to go. Yeah, he's going to go way
Who's the
high.
Graham kid? He had like a...
Oh, Graham Barton.
He ran like a mega 40 the other
Graham
day.
Barton played tackle the last couple years. I think the NFL, most of the NFL, and I think this football team views Graham Barton as a center from Duke. And I think Graham Barton could be in contention for them.
That's right. Yeah.
But if you do that, you are then moving Tyler Smith to left tackle, I think. Because
if you're taking a first-round center, I mean, you might be able to, you're thinking, okay, this guy's got a chance to be a Pro Bowler. We could do that. We could sandwich into guard there. And that's fine. You got to take who you can take. My question is that, like there's a good chance that there are 6 quarterbacks gone by the time the Cowboys pick.
Especially after the way Michael Penix tested yesterday. And Lord.
He looked like he was just gliding. He reminded me of Robert Smith running that 40. Just smooth,
Vikings, Ohio State running back.
Smooth run, right?
Yeah.
Looks like you're running in slow motion. Like there's a good opportunity that someone good is going to follow them now. So they may not get the 7th tackle, they may get the 5th.
Yeah, I mean, very much. Look, there are positions that could push it down the board. Now the question, look, TJ Bass at left guard. I think they believe that is their next, and I don't mean this in any sort of a derogatory way, since some people don't think he's a very good player. I think he is, but I think they view him as their next Terrence Steele. That, hey, we identified you as an undrafted free agent, brought you in, fostered you, and you're going to be ready to be a full-time, legitimate NFL starter on our offensive line. I think they really believe TJ Bass could be an NFL starter. And that may make it easier to say, well, let's clear open a space, because he would be a guard for them. He cross-trains, he does some different things. They tried him out at center at one point, but Bass playing guard could then free up Tyler Smith to go to tackle, then you're just looking at center. Well, the question of Brock Hoffman comes up then. The guy who played a little bit for you last year, started at Coastal Carolina, transferred to Virginia Tech, went undrafted, has been training with Duke Manyweather over in Frisco, friend of the show, Duke Manyweather. But DallasCowboys.com had a really interesting piece up on him recently. Nick Harris writing about it, that a couple weeks ago, he participated, Brock Hoffman did, in the team's first ever STEM event for a local boys and girls club for students at the Star, where he ran a station teaching kids how to properly snap the ball. He said, my mom was always a school teacher, so it's about being an inspiration for kids to stay in school, get that education, something that someone can't take away from you. It was cool for it to be my first time really in Dallas to give back to the community, so I couldn't really pass up the opportunity. Nick Harris writes, it was a fitting station for Hoffman, who took on the responsibility of starting at center early in the season against Arizona last year, and is now starting at an open job in the middle of the Cowboys' offensive line going into the offseason after the departure of Tyler Biadasz. What may have seemed small on the surface, Hoffman's community effort was a clear depiction of the biggest thing he's working towards this offseason. Hoffman said, it's on my mind every day right now, to be honest with you, talking about the open starting spot. I'm training like I'm ready to be that guy. I'm humbled. I've done everything that I've had to do. I've faced some adversity, being cut off the practice squad. I feel like that's all led to the moment. I'm ready to do what I need to do to help this team win a championship. This is a very competitive football player. This is a smart football player. I wonder... He's ready to seize this job, and he's trying to show the Cowboys everything he can that I'm ready to do this, and you don't have to draft a center. Look, we can roll with the guys we have on the roster without having to use capital in the first round on offensive line if you don't want to. But I think that for the Cowboys, they're more likely to think Bass is ready to start right now than Hoffman. I think they believe Hoffman. I think they think Hoffman could start eventually. I think they believe in who Brock Hoffman is. I don't know that they would necessarily want to roll into next season with him as the starter. I think they would as a failsafe. If they had to, they'd do it and they'd roll and they'd go that way. But I think if they had their druthers, if you told them, hey, one of these guys will start, Bass at left guard or Hoffman at center, and you replace the other with a rookie, I think they would pretty quickly say, we'll take Bass at left guard, move Tyler to tackle, and figure out center in the draft.
And I guess they could take multiple offensive linemen, first round, second round. I mean, I guess that's also the option.
Got a lot of holes on this football team you need to fill, though.
There are some holes. They can fill them with the draft. They don't have as many picks as they might want. No fourth? Is that right? No fourth
round pick?
So maybe they trade down and they pick one up.
Their 4th round pick was at the Star yesterday, running Big 12 quarterbacks through their workouts. Trey Lance was out there.
That's right. Trey Lance, the old 4th round trade.